Jai Samna student. Now today unit test 3 depending upon the unit number 1. Note down your answer in the notebook. One by one the question will be displayed at here. Question number 1. The algebraic sum of all the current meeting at a point is A. KVL, B. KCL, C. Ohm's law, and D. None. Again I repeat, what does this statement says, or which law this statement says? આ જે સ્ટેટમેન્ટ આપ્યું છે એ કયા નિયમનું છે તમારે અહીંયા જણાવવાનું છે કે algebraic sum of all the current meeting at a point is, એને શું કહેવાય એ તમારે જણાવવાનું છે. Okay, so it's a KVL, it's a KCL, it's a Ohm's law, or D. None. Now question number 2. Algebraic sum of all the voltage drops across resistors and all EMF sources in any closed path is 0. Is. Question number 2 again I repeat. Algebraic sum of all voltage drops across resistor and all EMF sources in any closed path is 0. It is, which law is this? A. KVL, B. KCL, C. Ohm's law, and D. None. Again, A. KVL, B. KCL, C. Ohm's law, and D. None. Again question number 3. The equivalent resistance of 5 ohm and 10 ohm if they are connected in the parallel connection. તમારે આ ઇક્વિવેલન્ટ રેઝિસ્ટન્સ ફાઇન્ડ કરવાનો છે. તમને બે રેઝિસ્ટરની વેલ્યુ આપી છે 5 ઓહ્મ અને 10. જો તેને પેરેલલ કનેક્શનમાં કનેક્ટ કરીએ તો શું આન્સર આવે તમારે અહીંયા ગણવાનું છે. A 5 ઓહ્મ, B 10 ઓહ્મ, C 3.33 ohm, and D. None. Again question number 3. The equivalent resistance of 5 ohm and 10 ohm if they are connected in the parallel connection, then A 5, B 10, C 3.33, and D. None. That you have to write. Kindly solve this example in the notebook and tick your answer. Now question number 4. Which is not active component? તમને અહીંયા componentના different types of electronics components are given. You have to identify which is not active component. Active component નથી એ component તમારે અહીંયા find કરવાનો છે. A. resistor, B. voltage source, C. current source, and D. BJT. BJT means bipolar junction transistor. It's another name of the transistor. Again I repeat the question number 4. Which is not an active component given below? નીચે આપેલામાંથી કયો component active component નથી? A. resistor, B. voltage source, C. current source, and D. BJT. Question 5. Which is not a passive component? નીચેના આપેલામાંથી કયો component passive component નથી? A. resistor, B. inductor, C. capacitor, and D. BJT. Again question number 5. Which is not the passive component given below? નીચે આપેલામાંથી કયો component passive component નથી તે તમારે જણાવવાનું છે. A. resistor, B. inductor, C. capacitor, and D. BJT. Which is not the passive component? passive component કયો નથી? resistor, inductor, capacitor, and BJT. Kindly note down the answer in the notebook. Question 6. Time complete to one cycle is known as. Now, this is the section of the unit number 1. It is based on the different types of quantities related to alternating quantity. And the first definition is the time complete to one cycle is known as. એક સાયકલને પૂર્ણ થવા માટે લાગતા સમયને શું કહેવાય? A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. Again, A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. Question number 6. Time complete to one cycle is known as. એક સાયકલને પૂર્ણ થવા માટે લાગતા સમયને શું કહેવામાં આવે છે? તો A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. Kindly note down the answer. Now question number 7. Time to reach certain value of EMF is known as. EMF થી કોઈ ચોક્કસ કિંમત સુધી પહોંચવા માટે લાગતા સમયને શું કહેવાય? Question number 7. Time to reach certain value of EMF is known as. EMF ની કોઈ ચોક્કસ કિંમત સુધી પહોંચવા માટે લાગતા સમયને શું કહેવાય છે? That you have to write. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. The question number 7 is time to reach the certain value of EMF is known as. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. Question number 8. The distance between two consecutive peaks is known as. બે ક્રમિક શૃંગ વચ્ચેના અંતરને શું કહેવાય? The distance between two consecutive peaks is known as. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. The distance between two consecutive peaks is known as. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Cycle and D. Phase. Note down your answer in the notebook. Question number 9. The number of cycles completed in a 1 second is known as. એક સેકન્ડમાં પૂર્ણ થતા આવર્તનની સંખ્યાને શું કહેવાય? Question number 9. The number of cycles completed in a 1 second is known as. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Frequency and D. Phase. The number of cycles completed in a 1 second is known as. A. Time period, B. Wavelength, C. Frequency and D. Phase. Question 10. The unit of frequency is. આવૃત્તિનો એકમ શું છે? A. Second, B. Meter, C. Hertz and D. Degree. What is the unit of the frequency? A. Second, B. Meter, C. Hertz and D. Degree. Okay, so this is the completion of your unit test. Everyone must not I think everyone must have completed the test. After the completion of the video, take your answer in the Google form given in the Google Classroom. Best of luck and Jai Swaminarayan.